Hello and welcome to yet another episode of High School Roundup. I'm your host, Anthony D'Agostino, and along with me today is the dynamic duo of Danny Beck and Stephen Ruffing. Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great.
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah,
Sick.
it's
A little bit sick, you know.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, we're a little bit shaken up under the weather today, but we'll get through it, and we're gonna have a great show for you guys. Good week of high school football this week. Some crazy scores, but we're gonna jump right into it. We, as CUTV, went to a school, Southmoreland, first time ever, and they play Waynesburg. Both teams haven't won a game. Danny, you have the highlights for this one, and it was a great game for both teams.
It definitely was a great game. As you said, both teams coming into this contest with no wins on the season. It was definitely going to be interesting to see who came out on top. We're going to get right into the highlights here. And we're going to start off, as you see there on your screen, that's the last time that Southmoreland had a victory going into last season even. So that was impressive, both of these teams coming in. And as you see on your screen, in slow motion, Ronnie Robinson getting a 5-yard run. Something we don't normally see here either, a female kicker. That was really cool to see, just somebody stepping on the scene. And then here, we're gonna see a strong run by Jaden Datz, but he's gonna be stopped short. So they're just trying to get some momentum. And then right here, a strong run by Ronnie Robinson, right up the middle. He's gonna break a few tackles and get into the end zone untouched. So that was a big run there, and they're just putting points up on the board now on Waynesburg. And then right here, Waynesburg trying to answer back in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, with a pass from Dylan Stritchfield over to Jacob McCallum. So that's getting some momentum going back, you know, as I said before, late in the fourth quarter, trying to make one last push. And then right here, a strong run up the middle from Waynesburg, and that's gonna put them back, trying to get back into the lead if they could. And then Waynesburg here with Dylan Stritchfield, he's gonna jump into the end zone, just putting his body on the line for his team. And then right here, trying to get an onside kick, trying to get it back. A perfect onside kick, perfectly executed. And unfortunately, that's how it would end, as a strong defensive play there by Southmoreland. But these two teams, although they came into this contest with no wins on the season, they looked pretty good down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of the games that we've had so far, I mean, surprisingly, this was probably one of the best ones that we've done this season with the team that had no wins. In Waynesburg, they had a chance to come back. They had a chance to win that game.
They had a chance to tie it at least, and the referees spotted the ball just short of the first down mark. Not sure if they spotted it down wrong or the chain gang didn't, do the measurement right, but it was down to a measurement on fourth down, and they didn't get the first down, and then Southmoreland just took a knee. But props to this Waynesburg team for fighting back. I mean, it was incredible to see, and we almost thought we were going in overtime.
Yeah, and I was expecting overtime, to be honest with you. Waynesburg, they were quiet the entire game. You know, their drives were leading to nothing, punts and even fourth downs, and they couldn't just do anything. And then that last fourth quarter, we really saw a push, and then it got stopped by Southmoreland. But as you said, guys, great game.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we're going to keep moving along here. We're going to go to the Interstate Conference, keep going through with that. And Elizabeth Forward took on Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant kind of put Elizabeth Forward back on the planet here, 49-13. The victory for Mount Pleasant. And Yock defeating McGuffey, 31-7. Danny, that's a huge win for Yock.
Yeah, Yock, definitely a big victory. And Dustin Schoaf rushed for 237 yards and 4 touchdowns on 29 carries. So, if you have a good rushing performance like that from your running backs, that's pretty much what put them in the spot to get a victory over McGuffey.
As we continue on in the non-conference portion of AAA, Aliquippa took on South Park and won 52-14. Derry taking on Fraser, winning 28-7. Steve, Derry continuing their dream season.
Yeah, of course, Derry led by Tyler Bilega, again finishing with 90 yards and 2 touchdowns on 29 carries. Derry held Fraser just to 180 total yards, so another impressive performance by Derry.
As we move on into the Interstate Conference standings, Derry up top, sole position in first place, 4-0 and 6-0. Mount Pleasant 3-1, 5-1. Yock 2-1, 3-2. McGuffey and Elizabeth Forward are both 2-2. Southmoreland is 1-2. South Park is 1-3, and Waynesburg still with no wins, 0-5. But guys, this Derry team is looking poised to keep their first place here.
And they're even proving that without Tyler Biega, their big rusher, as Steve just mentioned, they're still at the top. So it doesn't really matter if he's there or not. I mean, obviously, now he's back with the team, but I just their rushing game is basically what's putting them in the spot to really control this division.
Well, we're going to move on now into the Century Conference AA here on High School Roundup. We got Burgettstown taking on Brownsville, winning 41-8. And then Charleroi taking on Bentworth, and Bentworth just coming away with the victory, 16-12. Steve, this is a huge win for Bentworth, and they were behind.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 12-9 into the fourth quarter, and Bentworth's quarterback, Jake Hughes, scored on a 1-yard quarterback keeper with 42 seconds left to win the game. You know, I mean, just absolutely incredible. The weather actually played a role big time in this game. Teams combined for 11 fumbles and 2 losses, while the quarterbacks, they had a hard time throwing as there were 4 interceptions in the game.
Luckily for CUTV, there was not much rain at Southmoreland. Kind of happened before the game. But moving on in Century Conference, Chartiers Houston taking on Best Center and winning 25-13. As we move along, still in the AA, got some non-conference again. Derry Fraser, Derry winning 20-7. Stowe Rocks losing to Washington, 63-20. And another big win for Washington, Danny.
Yeah, Washington led 27-0 at halftime, and then threw on some more points on top of that, and 51-0 after 3 quarters of play. So that third quarter, they really came out for blood, basically just showing performance and showing that they're the dominant team in this game.
When I would take a look at the standings for AA Century Conference, Chartiers Houston with the 4-0 and 5-1 stat. Washington 3-0 and 5-0. Burgettstown 3-1, 3-2. Fraser 2-2, 2-4. Bentworth 2-3 and 3-3. Best Center 1-3, 1-4. Charleroi and Brownsville both do not have a win in conference. Brownsville has yet to win a game. But the Chartiers Houston and Washington team, Steve, they're the ones jostling right now for first place.
Yeah, and I don't think once Washington and this Chartiers Houston team face off, I think Washington is just too good. They're going to overwhelm Chartiers Houston. I think they're going to be the ones that come out of this conference with 0 losses.
Well, we're going to move now into the Tri-County South Single A division here of Whitfield football. Monessen taking on California. California winning just by 2 points, 24-22 the final score there. Avella taking on Jeff Morgan, and Jeff Morgan winning 59-34. But Danny, this California team just barely beat Monessen.
Yeah, and Monessen actually led 14-7 at halftime. So it was a do-or-die situation for California, and they definitely answered the call as Jonathan Wood rushed for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. Also, Austin Grillo scored a pair of rushing touchdowns for California. So a name that that was on this stat sheet, also Cochise Ryan. You saw Jonathan Wood and Cochise Ryan were going back and forth when we saw California take on Avella. But now it seems like Jonathan Wood is taking over this team. So California, they're still getting their victories, but getting their younger guys in there too.
We'll continue on the Tri-County South. No non-conference games, so Carmichael's taking on Mapletown, winning 35-0, and Fort Cherry beating West Green 40-6. As we continue on now into the standings of Tri-County South, Carmichael's with a 4-0 lead, Fort Cherry 3-0, California 3-1, Mapletown 2-2, Jeff Morgan 1-2, Monessen 1-3, Avella and West Green are at 1-4, but guys, Carmichael's 4-0. Steve, that's big for Carmichael's. They haven't been like that in a while.
Yeah, that's huge for them. It's great to see, and they're going to want to keep it up. It's going to be tough for them, but I think they could come out of this conference in first place. It's definitely an achievable goal that they could have.
It's also with Fort Cherry in there too. I know we were talking about that. Fort Cherry is still undefeated on the season, so that's still. I mean, it might be a little bit deceiving at this point, but we're going to see whenever those teams face off.
Yep.
Well, we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we have South Union Township's highlights, the Quad A and 5A scores and standings. So stick around for more High School Roundup right here on CUTV.
CUTV's High School Football Game of the Week. Springdale at Jeff Morgan. Avella at California. Bell Vernon at Ringgold. Greensburg Central Catholic at Charleroi. Waynesburg at Southmoreland. Baldwin at Connellsville. Beth Center at Brownsville. Fraser at Bentworth. Bishop Canavan at Carmichael. The longest running high school coverage in southwestern PA is on CUTV.
CUTV News Center is California University of Pennsylvania's award-winning student television newscast, your source for live, local, late-breaking news. Forecasts from the CalU Weather Center, the region's latest entertainment news, Vulcan sports highlights and regional scoreboards, with television news coverage you can't get anywhere else. Watch it live Thursdays on CUTV and on demand. CUTV News Center, online all the time.
Hello and welcome back to High School Roundup here on CUTV, where now we move into the Quad A Big 9 scoreboard here. And we also have highlights from this. Laurel Highlands took on Bell Vernon at Bell Vernon. And Steve, you had the highlights for this one.
I did. Laurel Highlands looking rough this season. I mean, they've been facing off some tough teams, and they had Bell Vernon this week, and they didn't look very good here. But Bell Vernon, they were on top of their game. We're going to get right into it. And Laurel Highlands actually received the ball first, and Bell Vernon just got it right back. And we're going to see here a 25-yard run by Nick Hall. I mean, with some speed, too, just bursting through that line. And then we're going to continue on the running game with Nolan Labuda, a 19-yard pass from Nick Fine to Frogner for the touchdown. Here we have another pass from Fine, a 23-yard pass to Labuda again. And then, this is the 23-yard pass from from Fine to Labuda. And here we have a 6-yard pass just going right over the Laurel Highlands defense for another touchdown. And Laurel Highlands, at the end of the fourth quarter here with 1 minute left, you have P.J. Savini busting in through the line with a 1-yard run, but wasn't enough. Laurel Highlands would fall to Bell Vernon 42-7.
Yeah, that was a huge game for Bell Vernon, winning 42-7. Laurel Highlands still 0-4, 0-6 now. Bell Vernon looks to be the cream of the crop, so as we say, on that conference. But take now a look at the scoreboard for the Big 9 conference. Thomas Jefferson giving Ringgold the loss here, 55-14, and then Trinity beating Uniontown 41-14. And Danny, this Thomas Jefferson team also for real.
Yeah, and the Jaguars only led 14-7 at halftime, but then scored 41 second half points. Quentin Hill led Thomas Jefferson with 229 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. And Bobby Kelly also passed for 208 yards and 2 scores. So, as you said, Anthony, though, this TJ team looks tough.
As we continue on in the Big 9 here, West Mifflin taking on Greensburg-Salem, coming away with the victory 37-0. As we move along in the Quad A non-conference, Highlands defeating Albert Gatlin 42-0. As we now move into the standings for the Big 9 conference, Bell Vernon and Thomas Jefferson all 5-0. West Mifflin 4-0 and 6-0. Ringgold 3-2. Trinity 2-2. Greensburg-Salem 1-4. Albert Gatlin, Laurel Highlands, and Uniontown all with 0-4 records. But Steve, there's basically a 3-way tie for first place right now. Who do you think is going to be the number 1 seed as weeks progress?
This Big 9 conference is so good, and I think we all know how I feel about this Big 9 conference. TJ, they're going to go throughout the season 0 losses. That's my prediction. I mean, I just don't think this West Mifflin team or this Bell Vernon team can keep up with this powerhouse that the Jaguars have at all times, too. And it's just not just this season. They consistently are this powerhouse team in this conference.
Danny, your thoughts?
I don't really know much about TJ. I've seen West Mifflin, I've seen all these other teams, and TJ, it just seems like you're so confident. Yeah. I can't disagree. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with an analyst that knows what he's talking about.
Well, we'll continue now into the 5A scoreboards here with the Big East. Franklin Regional beating up on Connellsville 40-0. And then Penn Trafford taking on Gateway. Gateway coming with the victory 23-6. Danny, huge win for Gateway over Penn Trafford.
Definitely is. And Jaquan Brisker scored on a 58-yard punt return. Not something we see much in high school football. And a 13-yard pass from Brady Walker to help Gateway upset Penn Trafford. Walker completed 14 of 22 attempts for 234 yards. So as you said, Anthony, the big upset by Gateway.
As we continue on in the Big East here, Armstrong taking on Plum, winning 56-28. McKeesport taking on Latrobe, winning 54-20. And Steve, McKeesport winning 54-20. Good props to Latrobe though for scoring 20 points on them.
Yeah, I mean Latrobe. I mean they haven't been the best team, but of course scoring these points against McKeesport, showing that that you can play with the big dogs. You know, it is great. You know, Leighton Jordan rushed for 3 touchdowns for McKeesport, so big help there for this team.
Well, we'll continue on in the 5A non-conference now. West Allegheny beating Kiski 47-0. As we move in now to the 5A Big East standings, some shaking up here. Kiski up top, still 4-0, 4-2, but McKeesport jumping up now to second place. They're 4-1 and 4-1. Armstrong now third, 3-1, 5-1, and Penn Trafford now is at fourth, while tied for third, 3-1, 5-1. Gateway is also tied with 3-1, 4-2. Franklin Regional 3-2, 3-2. Latrobe, Constable, and Plum all have 0 wins. But I'm going to ask the same question. Kiski and McKeesport kind of tied for first here. Kiski still with 4-0. But who do you think is going to come away with the top spot, Danny?
I also have to mention just something, a side note. Zane Dudek ran for 492 yards and broke the Whippeal single season game rushing yards. So that's impressive. You can't stray away from that. That was big for Zane Dudek. He wasn't that dude last week, but he's gonna be that dude this week. But no, I definitely think that this Kiski team, I don't know, they just have to get back on their spot in this conference.
Yeah, you know, I just want to also say the Whippeal regular season record that was set in 2010 was 2,149 yards by Still Valley's Del Reese Williams. So I just want to plug Still Valley there for a second. But going back to the conference, I don't want to skew away from that. I mean, you have so many good teams here. I mean, you have Armstrong, Kiski, McKeesport, Gateway making their way back up. This is going to be a tough one. You know, you don't want to speculate, and I don't feel comfortable predicting a first place team in this conference because it is so up in the air. I mean, Armstrong, I think they have a chance to get up there,
especially with their running game. I can't see them straying away from that. If they keep with that running game, I think that they're going to be hard to knock off the top.
As long as Armstrong continues their running dominance and don't get stopped, as we saw last week, Zane Dudek not being able to be that dude, as you say. But coming up next, we're going to take a quick break. We have the upcoming schedules, our pick'em, some shaking up in the pick'em this week, and our top 3 plays right here on High School Roundup on CUTV.
Since 1937, the Student Association Incorporated, known as SAI, has served the CalU student body by providing activities, programs, and services. Every enrolled student has the ability to take part in over 125 different clubs and organizations. Managing participation in every SAI activity is easy with OrgSync, a powerful tool for staying connected. Located 1 mile from campus, the SAI farm has 94 acres of meeting and recreational space. SAI, it's your student association. For almost 30 years, CUTV has been the campus and community home for local news, sports, and entertainment. Broadcast in 100,000 homes in southwestern Pennsylvania, CUTV provides complete coverage of Vulcan sports as well as high school football coverage. Broadcast weekly live, CUTV News Center provides coverage of local and campus events, weekend weather, sports highlights, and feature stories. For more information on CUTV, check us out on the web, friend us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter.
And welcome back to High School Roundup, as we're now going to take a look at the upcoming schedule for October. That's right, we're finally in October here in high school football. It's going to be October 7th now. Tri-County South, Jeff Morgan going to Mapletown. Avella at Fort Cherry. California traveling to Carmichael's a big game there. And in the non-conference, Northgate goes to Monessen, and then West Green travels all the way to Leechburg on that one. But Avella at Fort Cherry, a big show me something here for Fort Cherry against a not-so-good Avella team, Danny.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, I wouldn't really say that Avella's not good because they have some weapons they can work with, and this Fort Cherry team, it's definitely going to be a game, a prove-me game, see if they can stay up at the top of this conference.
And we'll continue on now into the AA Century Conference here for October 7th. All conference games here. Brownsville going to Fraser. Washington travels to Bentworth. Chartiers Houston goes to Charleroi, and Beth Center travels to Burgettstown. Steve, this is a good playing game here for best center at Burgettstown.
Yeah, that's going to be a close one. I mean, Burgettstown, out of nowhere this season. You know, they came out of nowhere and just they're dominating so far. It's going to be a great game and see if best center can come away with the victory against this very strong Burgettstown team.
Well, moving now into the Interstate AAA Conference, McGuffey goes to Southmoreland, Mount Pleasant goes to Derry, Waynesburg at South Park, and Yock at Elizabeth Ford. And Danny, Yock at Elizabeth Ford, that's a big game for Yock after their big win against McGuffey.
Yeah, it definitely is. And also, you said McGuffey. Also, McGuffey has a chance to really bounce back against that team, against the Southmoreland team that we saw last week. But yeah, Elizabeth Ford's been putting up points. And Yock last week put up 31 points. So it's going to be, I expect it to be a high-scoring affair between the two.
Well, we're going to move into the Big Nine Conference now. Uniontown travels to Ringgold. West Mifflin goes to Laurel Highlands. Bell Vernon at Trinity. Albert Gallatin goes to Greensboro Salem in the non-conference. Thomas Jefferson travels to Mars. And Steve, this Laurel Highlands team can't catch a break.
No, I mean, gosh, I don't think we've seen a team with such a tough schedule than we have with Laurel Highlands. I mean, just week after week you had Ringgold, and then you had Bell Vernon. Now this week you have West Mifflin. I mean, I don't know what else they could do. I mean, they are playing well. They played well in the first couple games, but I mean, man, you're right. They could not catch a break this season.
And now we move into the Big East. October 7th, Latrobe goes to Armstrong. Franklin Regional at Penn Trafford. Kiski at McKeesport. Plum at Gateway. And then CUTV's Game of the Week goes to Connellsville for a non-conference game where Baldwin takes on Connellsville. And Danny, this Baldwin-Connellsville game is going to be a big one because Connellsville still hasn't gotten a win.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that game. I know that I haven't seen Baldwin with CUTV yet. I mean, it's only my second year in high school football, but it would be definitely interesting to see, as you said, Anthony, with Connellsville trying to get on the board, trying to get a win on the season, and this Baldwin team trying to prevent that from happening.
Well, now we move into our pick'em standings. Scott Majewski's still at first place. He went 4-2, 22-8. I move up to second place now. I went 5-1, the best record of this week. Went 20-10 now. And then it's Clint, Matt, Gary, Zach, you, Danny, and then Steve at the bottom, 14-16 overall. But we have a chance now to see what's going to happen, some shaking up here as we go now into our picks for this week. First up, we have California traveling to Carmichael's. Me, Danny, and Steve are all going California. We've seen California, but this Carmichael's team is looking pretty for real right now. But Danny, one reason why you're picking California.
I think California's running game is just going to bowl right over Carmichael's. Carmichael's, as we said before, it's definitely cool to see Carmichael's being at the top of this conference, but I think California will knock them off, and then it'll all just switch up in that conference. I think that's just going to be California in this one. I think partly due to the fact that they're rushing game.
Coach is right on that one. That's the reason I picked California. We saw him before when they played Avella. As we move on now, best center at Burgettstown. Steve, you going best center?
Oh, Jody High Roller back at it again. I got to go best center because this is another game where it could go either way. You know, I said this Burgettstown is a strong team, but hey, go best center. I'm trying to get those numbers up for me. I mean, I'm not doing so hot in last place down there. It's getting lonely down there, so I'm gonna have to make my way back up.
Well, we're gonna continue on now. As you see on your screen, Mount Pleasant goes to Derry, and there's a little differences here. I'm going Derry, so is Danny, but Steve, Matt, and Clint all going Mount Pleasant. Scott and Gary and Zach are all going Derry. In the text that Gary got from Scott said, Derry, this is their dream season. They're going to continue on. And Danny, I got to think you're thinking the same way.
Yeah, I'm definitely Tyler Baega. I just keep saying that name. It's just going to get redundant at this point. You know, he's that guy on the team that is going to push them to victory. And over Mount Pleasant team, which, I don't know, this one could have gone either way. I definitely think it's one up for up in the air.
Well, Steve, why did you pick Mount Pleasant over Derry?
I think this Mount Pleasant defense can stop Tyler Baega. I mean, I really do. I mean, they're a strong team, so this was probably one of the most difficult ones we've had this season as pick'ems go. So it's going to be up in the air. I think it's been a crazy season. I mean, why not add to the craziness, stopping Tyler Baega on the ground?
Well, we're going to continue on now in North Pick'em. Thomas Jefferson goes to Mars, and what me and Matt Hagee thought was going to be a tough game. Everyone knows picking Thomas Jefferson with the victory here. It'll be interesting to see if Mars can knock off Thomas Jefferson here. Mars is a good team out of conference, Danny.
And you say that Thomas Jefferson's going to Mars because they're out of this world. You know what I mean? It's just going to be one of those games where Thomas Jefferson's going to just assert their dominance, in my opinion. So Thomas Jefferson's going to keep rolling, and as Steve said, because that's his team. It seems like that's Steve's team this season.
Yeah, you got seeing them in the past, coming from a local area. I mean, TJ's good. I mean, they are good.
Well, continuing on now, the last game, Baldwin at Connellsville. I'm going Baldwin. Danny's going Baldwin. Steve's going Connellsville. Hagee's going Baldwin. Clinton Logan's going Connellsville. Scott and Gary and Zach are all going Baldwin. Steve, real quick, why did you pick Connellsville in this one?
I have no idea. So I don't know. It's one of those games. Again, the craziness, just high rolling, man. I have to. These are the games that I need to pick. Like, I'm in last place. I mean, I literally have nothing to lose here. So,
I mean, Connellsville could win this game. Baldwin's not doing so well in their conference, as we do have Kiski. One more, Kiski at McKeesport. I'm going Kiski. Steve's going Kiski. Everyone else is going McKeesport. The reason I'm going Kiski is because I picked McKeesport last year and they messed me up. So I'm not picking McKeesport in this one. I'm going to go with Kiski. I think Kiski. And, I mean, it's both back and forth in that conference. We saw all the standings. McKeesport and Kiski are right neck and neck. So this is going to be a tough game, guys.
Yeah, and also Kiski coming off of a loss, so see if they can bounce back in McKeesport. That's going to be a big game for them, both these sides.
Well, we now move into one of our favorite segments, the top 3 plays. Danny, kick it off here with the number 3 play.
Yeah, the number 3 play is going to be a Southmoreland game, Southmoreland and Waynesburg, and Ronnie Robinson, a tough run up the middle here. It's going to break a few tackles and get into the end zone untouched to extend their lead yet more to 17.
And here we have the game that I cut the highlights for. Laura Highland, Bell Vernon, a 21-yard pass almost gets tackled. That's Nolan Labuda from Mike Fine.
Yeah, great pass there. But number 1, again, Bell Vernon here. Logan Frogner in the back of the end zone. All over him was a defender, but he makes that perfect catch. That is our number 1 play. But will it unseed the Blue Ribbon play? No. Gino Pellegrini doing what Gino Pellegrini does here for Charleroi High School. Live on PCN was that game, and almost losing his footing there, getting tackled, and still shimming some tacklers there, getting all the way into the end zone for a 49-yard run. That will still be our Blue Ribbon play this week. And for CTV, we mentioned it before, Baldwin at Connellsville, October 7th. That is our CUTV game of the week. The only time we're going to a Big East conference school.
Yeah, and this we haven't seen Baldwin. Anthony, like you said, they've been struggling in their conference. Connellsville looking for their first win. I mean, I picked Connellsville. I'm hoping they could do it, but it's going to be a close one. We're not sure what this Baldwin team has.
Well, guys, this is going to be now starting in October. This is going to be the push for these playoff teams. Who's going to make it into the playoffs? There's going to be some teams in the conference. Thomas Jefferson and West Mifflin and Bell Vernon and all them. They're going to be starting to make that push for their first place, bids here. They're going to start playing each other in the coming weeks. So make sure you stay tuned for more high school roundup here on CTV. Guys, last thoughts before we close it up here.
I'm really hoping that the teams I picked this week they stay true and they get me some victories, because I know Steve's thinking the exact same thing, but I cannot stray away from this 500. I'm picking 3-3 every single week thus far. I'm literally 15-15, so I really need a push. And Steve, the same thing.
Yeah, go Connellsville, go Best Center. So that's all I have to say.
Well, we're gonna end up closing up the show here today, but thanks again for watching High School Roundup on CUTV. As I always say, if you have any comments or questions about high school football, High School Roundup here, tweet us at CUTV_PA with the hashtag HSR2016, and we'll make sure we take a look at that and maybe put it on the show as well. So for Danny Beck and Stephen Ruffing, my analysts today, for Gary Smith, the director and producer in the studio, I'm Anthony D'Agostino. Thanks for watching High School Roundup on CUTV. We'll see you next week.